Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Canto 3, Chapter 9, Text number 11. Tvam Bhakti Yoga Paribhavita Hrit Saroja Ase Shutikshita Pato Nanu Nata Pumsam Yad Diya Ta Urugaya Vibhavayanti Tad Vapu Pranayase Sad Anugrahaya Tvam Bhakti Yoga Paribhavitarit Saroja Ase Shutakshita Pato Nananata Pumsam Yadyadiyata Uragaya Vibhavayanti Tad Vipu Pranayasi Sadanugrahaya. Unto you, Bhakti Yoga in devotional service. Paribhavita, being 100% engaged. Hrit, of the heart. Suruje, on the lotus. Ase, you reside. Shutakshita, seen through the ear. Pata, the path. Nanu, now. Nata, O my Lord. Pumsam, of the devotees. Yat, whichever. Diya, by meditating. Te, your. Urugaya, O multi-glorious. Vibhavayanti, they pacifically think of. Tat, the very same. Vapu, transcendental form. Pranayase, do you manifest. Sat anugrahaya, to show your causeless mercy. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Translation. O my Lord, your devotees can see you through the ears by the process of bona fide hearing, and thus their hearts become cleansed, and you take your seat there. You are so merciful to your devotees that you manifest yourself in the particular eternal form of transcendence in which they always think of you. Repeat, O my Lord, your devotees can see you through the ears by the process of bona fide hearing, and thus their hearts become cleansed, and you take your seat there. You are so merciful to your devotees that you manifest yourself in the particular form of transcendence in which they always think of you. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The statement here that the Lord manifests himself before the devotee in the form in which the devotee likes to worship him indicates that the Lord becomes subordinate to the desire of the devotee. So much so that he manifests his particular form as the devotee demands. This demand of the devotee is satisfied by the Lord because he is pliable in terms of transcendental loving service of the devotee. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 4:11. Ye tamans prapajante tam sadev bhajimiyaham. We should note, however, that the Lord is never the order supplier of the devotee. Here, in this verse, it is particularly mentioned, Tvam Bhakti Yoga Paribhavita. This indicates the efficiency achieved through execution of matured devotional service, or prema, love of Godhead. This state of prema is achieved by the gradual process of development from faith to love. On faith, one associates with bona fide devotees, and by such association one becomes engaged in bona fide devotional service, which includes proper initiation and the execution of the primary devotional duties prescribed in the real scriptures. This is clearly indicated herein by the word shutikshita. The shutikshita path is to hear from bona fide devotees who are conversant with Vedic wisdom, free from mundane sentiment. By this bona fide hearing process, the neophyte devotee becomes cleansed of all material rubbish, and thus he becomes attached to one of the many transcendental forms of the Lord, as described in the Vedas. This attachment of the devotee to a particular form of the Lord is due to natural inclination. Each and every living entity is originally attached to a particular type of transcendental service, because he is eternally the servitor of the Lord. Lord Chaitanya says that the living entity is eternally a servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Therefore, every living entity has a particular type of service or relationship with the Lord eternally. This particular attachment is invoked by practice of regulative devotional service to the Lord, and thus the devotee becomes attached to the eternal form of the Lord, exactly like one who is already eternally attached. This attachment for a particular form of the Lord is called Sarup Siddhi. The Lord sits on the lotus heart of the devotee in the eternal form the devotee desires. In the eternal form the pure devotee desires, and thus the Lord does not part from the devotee, as confirmed in the previous verse. The Lord, however, does not disclose himself to a casual or inauthentic worshipper to be exploited. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7:25. Naham prakasha savasya yogamaya samavitaha. Rather, by yogamaya the Lord remains concealed to the non-devotees or casual devotees who are serving their sense gratification. The Lord is never visible to the pseudo-devotees who worship the demigods in charge of universal affairs. The conclusion is that the Lord cannot become the order supplier of a pseudo-devotee, but he is always prepared to respond to the desires of a pure, unconditional devotee who is free from all tinges of material infection. Translation: O my Lord, your devotees can see you through the ears by the process of bona fide hearing, and thus their hearts become cleansed, and you take your seat there. You are so merciful to your devotees that you manifest yourself in the particular eternal form of transcendence in which they always think of you. So this verse is very important, actually. It's very significant. It's quite a famous verse also. So the first point is that the Lord manifests himself to the devotee in the form that the devotee likes to worship him. So by doing this, he actually becomes subordinate to the desire of the devotee. But in order for the Lord to manifest himself, one has to come to the level of mature bhav or prema. So in other words, one has to be rendering the end stages of bhava bhakti and coming into the stage of prema bhakti. So it is also described, there are 6 characteristics of pure devotional service. And one of those characteristics of pure devotional service is that the Lord becomes subordinate to the pure devotee. In other words, pure devotional service is able to control Krishna. So this is also confirmed here, that when a devotee comes to this very elevated stage of mature bhav or prema, then the Lord becomes subordinate to that devotee, and he will manifest a form within the heart of that devotee according to the devotee's mood, according to that devotee's desire. So in this way he becomes subordinate to the devotee. So Prabhupada says this demand of the devotee is satisfied by the Lord because the Lord is pliable in terms of transcendental loving service of the Lord. But this is a very high type of transcendental loving service on the level of prema. Prema meaning pure love. So this is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita with the verse Yeyita mantra bhajante tam sadeva bhajameham, which means as they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. So we're talking about the supreme reward, where Krishna gives himself. This verse can also be understood on a lower level, that Sakama devotees, they will worship Krishna for material desires, and sometimes Krishna will give, so they will think, yes, this is true. But on a higher sense, Krishna gives himself to his devotees. We should note, however, that the Lord is never the order supply of his devotee. So it is never that the Krishna becomes the order supply of his devotee. This indicates the efficiency achieved through execution of mature devotional service or prema. So then Prabhupada describes the gradual process. The state of prema is achieved by the gradual process of development from faith to love, from shraddha to prema. So there's a gradual process. This has been outlined by Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. So Prabhupada mentions on faith one associates with bona fide devotees. So first there is some shraddha, some faith. And then when there's faith, faith is of two kinds. Faith can be initially forced, or it can become be spontaneous. Forced means you hear some very powerful preaching. Through preaching it is forced. You hear some very powerful preaching. Generally that's the type of faith that we have. We hear some powerful preaching. We're attracted in that way. So on faith one associates bona fide devotees. So then one takes the association of devotees. It's called sadhu sangha. Sadhu sangha. And by such association one becomes engaged in devotional service. So you take the association of devotees, sadhu sangha, and you start to follow different principles. Yama, niyama. Yama means you give up the sinful activities that we know. We avoid these sinful activities, these four sinful activities. Those are negative injunctions. Yama, niyama means we put into practice the primary devotional duties. Primary devotional duties are arising early, cleansing oneself, chanting a prescribed number of rounds, attending Srimad Bhagavatam class, performing devotional service with our senses, engaging our senses, indriyas, in practical devotional service. So, by such association one becomes engaged in bona fide devotional service, which will include proper initiation and the execution of primary devotional duties prescribed in the revealed scriptures. So bhajana kriya means performing devotional service, following the different rules and regulations, sashtra vidhi, following the vidhi, the rules and regulations of sastra, and at some point or other, included within that bhajana kriya, one will take proper initiation. This is also a necessity that one has to approach a bona fide spiritual master and take initiation. This is obligatory. In other words, one has to do this. Saguram avibhagichet. One has to. So then, and then one has to hear very carefully. Prabhupada mentions that the Shrutikshita path is to hear from bona fide devotees who are conversant with Vedic wisdom. So one has to hear very carefully. By the bona fide process of hearing, then the neophyte devotee becomes cleansed of all material rubbish. So by hearing properly, then we are able to come over the stage of anarthas. We're able to purge from the heart these different material desires. So one takes initiation, one starts to practice bhajana kriya, and then that practice is called Nishta bhakti. Nishta bhakti means unsteady devotional service. But if we hear properly from the right source, if we hear from those conversant with Vedic knowledge, free from mundane sentiment, then we can become cleansed of these anarthas. Prabhupada said, material rubbish. This means anarthas. We can become cleansed. This is called the anartha nivritti stage. And we can come to the stage of Nishta, or steady devotional service. So one has to hear very properly. Hearing means instruction may be given, and then we put that instruction into practice. If we are told something, but we don't actually put it into practice, then it means we haven't heard properly. You understand? Hearing actually means, sound will enter and into our ear. We hear some sound. We hear that lust, anger and greed is practical, unfavorable. So we hear this. So then, if we've heard it properly, then we will try to avoid lust, anger and greed. But if we haven't heard it properly, then we won't try to avoid lust, anger and greed. So there's different levels of hearing. Just like you can be asleep and someone can speak something to you, and that sound can go into your ear, but you haven't actually heard, isn't it? You're sleeping and someone speaks to you quietly. It's not that they wake you up, quietly. But the sound is entering your ear. But have you actually heard? You've heard and you haven't heard, because the sound has gone into your ear, but it's not actually registering a change in your consciousness. So also you can sit in class and it can be stressed that one has to get up for the morning program. Like I stressed yesterday. One has to get up for the morning program. And you can nod your head. But you cannot actually hear it. And you may not get up next day for the morning program. It means you actually haven't heard it. So hearing is more than just nodding our head. Hearing actually means that it provokes a change in consciousness. The statement one has to strictly follow we can only understand that a devotee is properly understood or accepted that when they become very serious. So proper hearing results in a change in consciousness. And a change of consciousness can be determined by a change of activity. We want you to become serious. So actually if you have heard that properly, then you will become serious, and this will become manifest in a change of your consciousness. You will understand, you'll become more serious, and then this will manifest in a change of activity. We can see by your activity that you have become more serious. So a neophyte devotee becomes cleansed of all material rubbish or anarthas by hearing properly. Generally, we're saying the same thing in class every day. On every page of the Bhagavad Gita, on every page of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada is saying Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But still, we do not hear properly, and we forget. On numerous occasions, Krishna is saying, Prabhupada is saying Krishna is the Supreme Controller, but still we forget. And we think, no, perhaps I am also controlling, or we try to take control of the situation like that. So we have to hear again and again and again. So by hearing from the right source, free from mundane sentiment, and by hearing properly, then eventually one will be cleansed of all material rubbish, and thus he becomes attached to one of the many transcendental forms of the Lord as described in the Vedas. So after the anarthas have been sufficiently cleansed from the heart, one comes to the level of Nishta. Nishta means what? Steady, fixed, steady. The quality of Nishta means to be steady. Nishta means that quality of steadiness. So this is steady devotional service. This has been described by Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. Nishta means the absence of certain things. It means the absence of, when one is performing bhajan. Bhajan, what does bhajan mean? Gary?
What could be practical devotional service, chanting?
It means hearing and chanting. Bhajan means hearing and chanting. Bhajan may be used, it may have different connotations in ISKCON, the way devotees use these words. But actually bhajan means hearing and chanting. Personal bhajan. So the absence of Nishta can be determined when there's an absence of 5 things within one's bhajan. And they are vikshepa, laya, pratirati, rasavad, and kshaya. So laya means sleep. So when there's absence of sleep. So this is the first thing. And there is gradations. Absence of sleep while chanting, absence of sleep while hearing, and absence of sleep while remembering. Remembering is the most difficult. To sit and remember Krishna and not have laya, sleep, is the most difficult. Next will come to hear. And then next will come to chant, because chanting is you're doing something. So when there's an absence of laya or sleep, then this is one aspect of Nishta. So we can understand when coming to the Nishta's platform, the platform of steady devotional service, when there's an absence of these 5 things. So the first one is sleep. Sleep during hearing and chanting. Then vikshepa means restlessness, mental distraction. Means the mind becomes very restless. During our attempt to hear and chant, the mind becomes very restless and will meditate on sense gratification, or on so many other things. So when there's an absence of this, when the mind becomes more peaceful, when you are able to fix the mind more on the holy name, and this is also a quality of Nishta. Everyone knows what is vikshepa, the mind is restless. Our minds are very restless. Arjuna also made this point to Krishna. Krishna told Arjuna, Yuto nishkalati manashchanchalamastaram, that from whatever and wherever the mind wanders, bring it back, drag it back, pull it back, and put it under the control of the self. This is what he told Arjuna. So Arjuna said, very good, yes, this makes sense, but actually I don't think it's possible. He said, Chancham himana Krishna palamatmam balavadaridham, that the mind is balam, which means balam, from the word balara, meaning strong. The mind is dridham, meaning drid. The word sounds like what it's supposed to be in English. So what is drid? Dridham. Obstinate, isn't it? That word sounds like someone who's obstinate. You are dridham. Chanchalam. Flickering, isn't it? Sounds like flickering. Chanchalam. Jumping here and there. Obstinate, strong, flickering. What's the other one? There's a fourth one. Chancham hi mana Krishna paramatma balavadrita. Agitating. So the mind is all these things. And I think to control it is more difficult than controlling the raging wind. So this is Arjuna's observation. And Arjuna is very qualified. Much more qualified than we are. He's a very powerful person. In comparison to Arjuna, we don't rate. We don't have a rating. He is very exalted, and he is saying, I don't think it's possible because of these reasons. And then he compares the restless mind to be like the raging wind. And who is able to control the wind, the raging wind? You imagine, you come to Cape Town in the winter, on a windy day, and you try to control the wind. It's not possible. So Krishna, he said, yes, it's true. The mind is difficult to control, but it is possible. And then he explains how is it possible. Vairagena chugurite shamsham mahabaho manatanigram chulan apyasena takantaya vairagena chugurite. It is possible. So what does Krishna say? How is it possible? Yeah, vairagena chugurite. By constant practice and determination, you can. It is possible. So, vikshepa, the mind is restless. But by constant practice and detachment, the mind will become more peaceful. And so this is the second quality of Nishta. So laya vikshepa. Then aprati rati. Aprati rati. Third quality of Nishta. When I say third quality, in the absence of this, Nishta manifests. So in that sense, it's a quality of Nishta. So what is aprati? Aprati rati. What is it? Any of the ladies?
Motivation.
Huh?
Motivation.
Motivation. No. Well, it's something very specific. But it's not. Huh? No. Now we have to become free from this. So if we don't know what it is, then of course we can become free from it without knowing what it is also. That is possible. Like Gokishore Das Babaji Maharaj, he wasn't fully conversant in, Prayojana Tattva, but, he was fully on that level. But it does help if we know something about it.
Sleeping while remembering.
Huh?
Sleeping while remembering.
Sleeping while remembering. That would be pretty good. That would be very interesting to do. Sleeping while remembering. Anyway, we're getting some very interesting speculations today. Sleeping while remembering. Anyone else want to have a good guess? Huh? Spiritual? Spiritual endeavor. Spiritual endeavor. Spiritual indifference. That's because someone told you. Yes, spiritual indifference. What it means is, in the absence of laya and vikshepa, still there is no enthusiasm. Do you understand? Laya means sleep, vikshepa means mental distraction. So you're sitting down, you're attempting to hear and chant. It's japa period. You're attempting to hear and chant. So sleep is not there. It hasn't come yet. Sleep is not there in vikshepa. Your mind is not jumping here and there. But you just can't, there's no enthusiasm. There's complete apathy. It's like a wet noodle. Nothing. You can't get going. No enthusiasm. Spiritual indifference. No utsahan. No utkanta. No eagerness. No enthusiasm. There's nothing. Nothing is happening. But there's no sleep, and your mind is not necessarily jumping around. Vikshepa, it's not like meditating on, what time is prasadam and so many other things. So it's called spiritual indifference, apathy, no enthusiasm, no utsaha. See? So this is aprati rati. So in the absence of that, Nishta can come. Nishta will only come in the absence of all five. So we're just going over each one by one. So that's the third one. The fourth one is kshaya. This means thoughts of pride come in your mind, arrogance. This, of course, is similar to vikshepa, mental agitation, but it's more specific. Vikshepa would be more general agitation. Your mind is just thinking of this, that. Nothing specific, it's just jumping here and there. Kshaya means more thoughts of pride, some sort of arrogance comes, even maybe some little envious thought may come, although hopefully at the stage of when one is entering Nishta, envy shouldn't be there so much. But pride can be there, a little arrogance. You're sitting down, you're trying to chant, you may think of something that happened, 2 years ago. One devotee said something to you 2 years ago and offended you. And suddenly that thought surfaces in your mind, 2 years later. And you think, oh, that devotee said that to me. Well, he should never have said that to me. He should have known, she should have known actually that I'm more important. Actually, I'm pretty important. Little thoughts of pride come. This happens. You're sitting down trying to think of Krishna and some thought like this can come into your mind. Some person may have spoken to you a little harshly the other day, trying to correct you, and you think, why they did that? Don't they know that I'm so important, that I've been a devotee now for 9 months, and I'm actually... So Kshana, and then the last one is Rasavat. Where is Rasavat? Rasavat. Rasavat. No taste, no hope. Rasavat. Huh? Yes. You're sitting there and you're chanting Krishna's name. You're really trying to concentrate. And for the first time, you're not falling asleep. That's because you slept for 12 hours. There's some love after this. So, Maya, you slept for 12 hours, so you're not going to fall asleep. And then the Shiva, somehow your mind is not jumping around. For the first time in your entire devotional career, your mind is not jumping around like a tango, And then you have a little bit of enthusiasm. There's a little bit of enthusiasm. You're thinking of moon, you're thinking of God, you're thinking of pastimes of Mahaprabhu. Some little bit of enthusiasm is coming. You're thinking of some pastimes of Prabhupada, some sacred prophets. So you're able to think of Krishna or his beauty. There's a little bit of enthusiasm coming. And because that enthusiasm, the little bit is coming, you will taste. Very small little taste is coming. And then you're able to stay awake. Of course, sleeping 12 hours help as well. And then thoughts of pride aren't coming so much because it's because you're thinking of Krishna, so thoughts of pride aren't coming. And then in the kitchen, they're baking the bread. And the smell of the bread comes through. Now you know how nice bread smells when it's being baked. And it's very nice. It tastes, the smell of bread tastes much nicer than eating to eat it. When you eat bread, it's like that now. When you smell it, it's so nice. So the smell of bread comes in and you start thinking, wow, I would really like some fresh hot bread from the oven with butter melting on it. I'd really like some. And then what happens to your budget? It starts to do it. Your thoughts of Krishna start to do it. Your thoughts of Srila Prabhupada start to do it. And you start thinking, I also like a fresh donut with double-decker cream and jam. Sometimes we have this in our restaurant in the temple, and we have really tasty donuts. So, very nice these things. I remember one time I was dry fasting or something. It was years ago. It was the late 70s, yes. And I was dry fasting and I was chanting. And I used to fast a lot in those days. And somehow or other, I got this vision of a cauliflower core. Just cackling from the
cord is coming off, and you can see it. You can begin to taste it. This thought of this cauliflower cord was coming in my mind. And I was thinking, yes, I must have one, I must have one. So by Devi Shanti, so see that they come. So when you think of something long enough, you concentrate off into the senses like that, cauliflower cord. Or I don't just jam, homemade jam as well. And what happens if you concentrate long enough? You become attached. You start to drool. Saliva in your mouth. The experiments that show this. The dogs have off. So then you start to drool. And you start to think, yes, yes, yes. So thinking, feeling, doing. So first you think about it, contemplate the option of the senses, then you become attached, then you want it. So then you think, well, I've been sitting down chanting my japa long enough now. I think I should go for a walk. And then you walk past the kitchen. And then you see who's in there. And you decide to walk in there. So thinking, you become lusty after it. You want it. And you try to think, let me see if I can take one. Nice donut. And you see, you look to see who's looking. And then you see Krishna Priya standing there. And so many other ladies in charge. And you say, well, if they see me take it, it'd be so embarrassing, because I'm supposed to be a brahmachari, I'm supposed to be fixed up. So then you become a little angry, because you can't get that thing you want. That thing you want, you can't get, so you become a little angry. Not that you lose your temper and hit someone, not quite like that, but you become a little angry. And at this stage, what happened to your ledger is gone, finished. All you're thinking of is bread and donuts and so forth. So that's what that means. When the opportunity for Sanskrit education comes, our attentive hearing and chanting goes. That's what it means. The rest of that means when the opportunity for Sanskrit education comes, we cannot concentrate on our hearing and chanting. We become overpowered by that opportunity to take, to engage the senses and the sense object. Whether it's eating, whether it's sleeping, or whether it's prajalpa, there's opportunity for sense gratification. I cannot do some unnecessary talking. Sense gratification, prajalpa. So that opportunity comes, we take that opportunity, and our pleasure, our hearing and chanting is pushed in the background. So in the absence of these five things, Nishta comes. And according to how much these five things have been controlled or are not there, to that degree, that is how much Nishta or steadiness will come. So the actual platform of Nishta doesn't mean a complete absence of these five things, but it means these five things are not so much manifest. Even in Nishta, there are anarthas. It is not that in Nishta there are no anarthas. Even in Ruchi, there are anarthas. Even in Ashakti, there are anarthas. But Nishta means that the anarthas have been reduced. So these five things have been reduced. Still they may be there, but to a lesser degree. And in Anishta, these five things are very prominent, very much prominent. So how, as anarthas are reduced in the heart, then these five things will also be reduced. As our anarthas are cleansed from the heart, this means material desires, then wild impulse urges will be able to stay awake during chanting. They shape our mind won't be so disturbed. You can directly see a relationship between anarthas and the mind being disturbed. Then you can see easily. There's also a relationship between anartha and sleep. There's also a relationship between anartha and apartirati. So, as anarthas are cleansed from the heart by the process of devotional service, and then we come to Nishta. And Nishta is the absence of these five things. And then after practicing further and getting mercy, you have to go higher when you acquire mercy. At this stage, one requires a special type of mercy to go higher. To go from actually requires mercy. There's different types of mercy. So, as an example, that different types of mercy. So the example given is that someone may come to the temple and they may be hungry. So they may approach the devotee with some prasad. So there may not be any prasad. So instead the devotee will say, look, here's a pot, and here's a spoon, and here's the spices, and here's the meat, and here's potato, cauliflower, and brinjal. And now this is what you do. You clean them, and then you spice it, and you do it. So then the person peels the vegetables, cleans the vegetables, spices, and this and that, and then he cooks. So cleaning takes 1 hour, cooking takes 1 hour, and then he cooks, and then he offers to Krishna, and then he takes. So that's one method. Another method is, same person comes on a different day to the temple, and right at that moment, you just offered prasadam on the altar. And the person comes and says, I'd like some prasadam, and we hand them a prasadam plate. And it's full of prasadam. It's already cooked, it's hot, and it's been offered to Krishna. So that's, so these are two kinds. So both are mercy. Giving a plate of prasadam, cooked, hot, offered to Krishna. That's mercy. But also the first person, he comes and the devotee says, here's a pot, here's the spice, here's a spoon, here's the ghee, this is what you do. That's also mercy because he's giving the pot, he's giving the spices, he's giving the vegetable, he's giving instruction. That's also mercy. Both are mercy. But which is of a higher kind? Yeah, it's already cooked. Yeah. So if we want to go from Nishta to Ruchi, and then from Ruchi to Ashakti, and Ashakti to Bhava, and Bhava to Prema, then you need that second type of mercy. You need that very high type of mercy. And that comes from a very advanced devotee, extremely advanced devotee. So in our case, it's Srila Prabhupada. It's coming from him. It's actually only coming from him. Of course, it may come from previous acharyas also. It can come from Srila Vasudeva and Bhaktivinoda Goswami. But this is a very high type of mercy. See? So by that type of mercy, which can come by serving the instructions, that mercy can come. We can go to Ruchi, and Ruchi is where we get some real taste, real relish. So Ruchi also has two kinds. One type of Ruchi is when one depends on the excellent elements, and the other one is no dependence on the excellent elements. So just give you an example that, for instance, there may be kirtan. So kirtan is chanting Harinam, holy name. So it's a holy name. But because the person who is singing has a terrible voice, in other words, it's out of tune, and the kartal is a little off, and the drum is a little dead and offbeat. And then it's the holy name, but you don't become so inspired. But when someone is singing with a very sweet voice, and the kartals are ringing very wonderfully, and the drum is very wonderful also, then you become, you have a deeper taste. So Ruchi may be there, it depends on the excellence of the elements. See? The high type of Ruchi is when actually you don't depend on the elements. In other words, someone may not be singing with relish, a steady taste, still is a relish. Karta may be completely off, but still you taste some relish. Or maybe deity worship. And in deity worship, only if everything is proper, then you get some relish. Everything has to be right. See? Everything has to be very clean, and everything has to be very black and white. And that's not always the case. Sarathi Goswami is worshiping his deity. What paraphernalia did he have? He was doing under a tree here and there and there. So he wasn't depending on the elements. But of course he was on the level of prema. So if you're on the level of prema, you can imagine how So in the stage of ruchi, you also have shraddha, but it's so much deeper. You also have nishta, but it's so much deeper. And now for more mercy, the mercy descends from above, as I explained, from very qualified vibration. You can go to ashakti. In the stage of ashakti, your shraddha is even deeper, your nishta is even deeper. Someone on the stage of ruchi has a certain type of nishta, but when that person promotes himself to ashakti, then the nishta on ashakti is even deeper. It's even more stronger. Prahlad Maharaj is the graphic example of nishta to its highest degree. He was on prima, and his nishta was so strong, his statements, his emotional reserves were so strong, that his father came and tried to kill him in so many ways. He wasn't stuck, he was just dead, he was fixed. And his father came to try to kill him, because he was just fixed. So that's nishta, but a very high degree of nishta. That's a nishta, so we don't prema. So when it comes to ruchi, there's two types of ruchi. Ruchi means immature attachment, and ashakti means mature attachment. That's the difference. Ruchi means immature attachment. It means you have attachment, but it's not deep and mature. It's just coming. And when that same ruchi becomes mature, it becomes ashakti. It is very deep attachment to Krishna. Very deep attachment. It's ashakti. And then, by further mercy from above, there's mercy descends on us from superior Vaishnava. And she descends on us from Radhika devotee. Then one can come to the stage of bhav. First the preliminary stage of bhav. And there's many stages in bhav. Just like one enters adolescence. But it's not like you enter adolescence on a certain day. It's a gradual process. So entering into the stage of bhav is a gradual process. So gradually you come into the stage of bhav. Beginning stage, and then the middle stage of bhav, and then more mature bhav. Then when one attains mature bhav, then one sees the form of the Lord. Mature bhav, and one attains Surat Siddhi. So this is described here. The Lord sits on the lotus heart of the devotee in the eternal form the pure devotee desires. So this means mature bhav. The Lord will manifest. So how will he manifest? Is just any form the Lord manifest? No, he will manifest according to the devotee's attachment. So when one attains the stage of mature bhav, or preliminary stage of prema, mature bhav or preliminary stage of prema, same, then one is very attached to a certain form of the Lord. So what determines what form of the Lord we're attached to? We all have what? Yes. One has a constitutional position. We have a constitutional position. We have an eternal relationship with Krishna or one of his expansions. It could be Lord Ramchandra. It could be Lord Narasimha. It could be Lord Narayan. Srivas had an eternal relationship with Lord Narayan. Narayana has an eternal relationship with Lord Narayan. Murari Gupta, an intimate associate of Mahaprabhu, had an eternal relationship with Ramchandra. So at this stage, we're not aware of our relationship. We're not aware of who we have a relationship with. It's God, Krishna, but more specifically. Krishna, Narayan, Ramchandra. And not only will that become clear, but also our particular type of relationship. This goes starting off. Which means our particular type of relationship with Shanti, Dasya, Sakya, Bhakti-Manjari. There are 5 primary relationships. So this becomes not only clearer, but it becomes completely manifest at the stage of mature bhav. Even before we attain the stage of mature bhav, we will definitely know. We have some inclination, some very positive inclination towards our relationship and with who it is, with. Even in the stage of ruchi, one definitely gets some very definite idea, although it's not clear, just like the sun nearby. You haven't seen the sun, 6 o'clock in the morning, the sun is not there, but you can see land, you can see the garden, you can see. So, prema may not be risen within the heart, but still, one may not be firmly fixed in one sort, but still one can get a very definite idea, even in which it will come. So then, bhav, and then prema. So, if prema is the sun's rays, then the stage of bhav is compared to one molecule of sunlight. You understand? This is the example given in the Sarathi cycle. And if prema is the sun's rays, then the stage of bhava is simply one ray, one small molecule of sunlight. And you can imagine how many billions of molecules of sunlight there are coming from the sun. But one of those is the stage of bhava. And the stage of bhava is such an amazing platform. So then we can understand how much more exalted is prema. And then even one can go further. Stage of prema, and one even goes further, and there are other stages also. So the Lord sits on the lotus heart of the devotee in the eternal form of pure devotee desires. So the Lord actually comes in the heart. And not only the Lord, but wherever there is Krishna, his devotees are there as well. So Krishna and his eternal associates also come. Not just Krishna, but his eternal associates also will come. And they also sit in the heart. The Lord, however, does not disclose this to a casual or inauthentic worshipper. So have we understood this? Have we understood our? Has he disclosed himself in the core of the heart? So this means we're in a category of casual or inauthentic worshipper. So our worship is a little casual. We definitely have to become more serious. Inauthentic. We're worshiping correctly. The example here is, the Lord is never dealing with the pseudo-devotees worshiping anyone, so we're not doing that. So our worship is authentic. Why? Because we're connected with the pure devotee. We have some movement here. It's not inauthentic, it's authentic. But casual, definitely. Our enthusiasm, our greed is very casual. Sometimes it's not even there. Sometimes it's non-existent. And so we have to become more serious. Casual is not so good. The conclusion is the Lord cannot become the order supply of the student devotee, and he is always prepared to respond to the desire of the pure, unconditional devotees, free from all tinges of material infection. So this verse is very nice. It describes that you are so merciful to your devotees that you manifest yourself in a particular eternal form, which they are always thinking of. So, Prabhupada, of course, is teaching us to worship Krishna, because the worship of Krishna includes the worship of all other expansions. He has said, Vishnu, Krishna, no difference. But he's also said, actually, we should not divert our attention to any other form of the Lord, even Ram, even the Singer, even Vishnu. In the book of 1865. Rather, we should exclusively worship Krishna. He said different things at different times. Because the logic is that the worship of Krishna includes the worship of his expansions. And we should worship the Lord in the word Dasya, servant. Dasya, this is how we should worship, as servant. And as the anathas come from our heart, as we advance by mercy from descending mercy from above, then our particular relationship with Krishna will become clearer. But we should worship the Lord Dasya as servant. Unconditional, exclusive, ananya, exclusive servant to Krishna. So any questions? attraction to Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan is Bhaja Bhakti. Persons who are practicing Bhaja Bhakti can have one of three swords. It can be Vasya, Sakya, or Madhurya. Because that's what's practiced in Vrindavan. So it can be one of those three. If your destination is Vrindavan. And we are followers of Goswami. Goswami, sometimes they can call what? Ranka Nugas. So actually strict follower of Goswami means Ranka Nugas. What it means. We may not all be Ranka Nugas because Goswami and the spiritual has a specific relationship. So we may not all fall in that category. Generally, the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are very much attracted towards Vrindavan pastimes, Vrindavan mood, which is one of those three, as I explained, friend, parental, or conjugal, but not all. And Srivas is an example. Srivas. He's Narayani, he's a member of the Panchatattva, very important personality. And he's not attracted towards that. His Dasyaras and his relationship is in Vaikuntha. He appreciates Vrindavan. Narayana came and he appreciates that his constitutional position is in Vaikuntha. So we can't say that all the followers of Mahaprabhu are going to end up in a perfect stage in Vrindavan. It's not correct, because there are some that haven't. But we can say that the majority. But it's not that if you are very much attracted to Aishwarya Bhav and you want to go to Vaikuntha, and you don't have a place as a follower of Mahaprabhu, or that you don't fit into the sampradaya and you have to go and find some other sampradaya. Not at all. That's not true. Is that clear? Stressed, just worship Krishna, because that includes all the expansions. And he said we should not even divert our attention to other forms of the Lord. And then as you become more advanced, and you have to go on the stage of an altar unity, you actually have to go into the stage of virtue, then you will get some inclination or something. You become attracted. You become attracted to some pastimes. Maybe you'll be thinking so much of the Shri of the pure and protecting us, the Buddha Prabhat. You'll find yourself thinking like that again and again and again and again and again. So then you can understand that maybe this is, you have some attraction in this area, in this type of relationship. But we shouldn't try to do kalpana. Kalpana is imagination. Things will naturally develop in the course of time. Just like a young child, you try explaining to a young child, 5 or 6 years old, about sex desire. Can you? Does it make any sense? You say, I'm a young boy or girl, 5, 6, 7 years old, and even if they have the IQ, you explain to them the attraction that a man has to a woman and a woman has to a man and how it all works. Will we understand? They won't understand. But in the course of time, they will understand. It will come. So also, our particular relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and what relationship we have, what form, what relationship, these things will come. We don't have to try to force it. It will come in the course of time. If we continue to serve the devotees of the category of Srila Prabhupada, and his previous acharyas, and Srila Prabhupada's followers who are encouraging us to serve Srila Prabhupada. And then we can urge you with this. How is it? Do you know how the first hermit was signed? I think it was in Los Angeles. Some persons threw a bomb into the temple, a pipe bomb. And there was an explosion. No one got seriously hurt. But after that, Prabhupada taught his devotees initiated prayers. So, we specifically, because it depends on on your relationship, but generally, Gaudiya Vaishnava is always Shri Shiva. So, I pray to him that you please protect my bhakti. You protect my bhakti. Please help me. Tear out what's all resides, just like you tore out Hiranyakashipu's heart. And you protect my bhakti. Generally, that's how we relate to Lord Saint. I want relationship with Krishna. I want bhakti for him. Please protect it wherever I am in heaven. Of course, some may have a relationship